For my final presentation for Materials for Young Adults, I'm going to be discussing the author John Green. John Green grew up in Orlando, Florida. He attended Indian Springs boarding school just outside of Birmingham, Alabama. He attended Kenyon College, where he double majored in English and religious studies. After finishing college, he spent 5 months working as a student chaplain at a children's hospital. During the same time, he was enrolled at the University of Chicago Divinity School. In his adult life, he's lived in a number of locations, including Chicago and New York. He currently lives in Indianapolis, Indiana, with his wife, Sarah, who he has nicknamed the Yeti, his son, Henry, and his West Highland Terrier named Fireball Wilson Roberts. John Green has written a number of novels, including Looking for Alaska, An Abundance of Catherines, A Cheertastic Christmas Miracle, part of the Let It Snow collaboration, Paper Towns, Will Grayson, and The Fault in Our Stars. He has also written a number of short stories, including The Approximate Cost of Loving Caroline, The Great American Morp, Freak the Geek, and Reasons. John Green has also released some multimedia productions, including This Is Nottum, an interactive novel hidden within riddles, Zombicorns, a Creative Commons licensed zombie novella online, and The War for Banks Island, which was released via email to people who contributed to his charity project, Project for Awesome. So what makes John Green important? Why did I choose to share him with you? I chose to share him because he doesn't shy away from difficult topics in young adult literature, like sexuality, first loves, incurable diseases, family issues, death, alcoholism, and drugs. His writing is genuine and serious, but it's also quite funny at times. John Green has written so much that this presentation will discuss in depth only 2 books, Looking for Alaska and The Fault in Our Stars. If you haven't yet read these books, please realize that there will be spoilers from now on. Looking for Alaska was published by Dutton Juvenile, and it won the 2006 Michael L. Prince Award. This is an annual award from the American Library Association. It recognizes the best book written for teens based entirely on its literary merit. This book was largely a sleeper hit, as it didn't even appear on the New York Times bestseller list until 385 weeks after release. The book is divided into 2 sections, before and after. This book has faced a certain amount of controversy over its sexual content. The book was charged by some parents as being pornographic because there are several sex-related scenes. One scene with a discussion of sex in general, one scene with an explanation of how to give a blowjob, and one scene where the characters are watching pornography. In response to this, John Green has said, "Some people say, you wrote a dirty, dirty book. But there are very old-fashioned values and even a lot of religion in it. There are some adults who think that the only kind of ethics that matter are sexual ethics, so they miss everything else that's going on in the book." He also points out, the book has never been marketed to 12-year-olds. Never. It is packaged like an adult book. It doesn't even say it's published by a children's book imprint on the cover, and it's never shelved in the children's section of bookstores. The basic plot is that the protagonist, Miles Pudge Halter, decides to attend Culver Creek Preparatory High School. The school, some of its characters, and some of the events are largely based on Green's time at Indian Springs School. The other 2 main characters are Chip the Colonel Martin, who is Miles' roommate, and Alaska Young, another student who is the Colonel's best friend. The before portion of the storyline revolves around normal daily school life and pranks, but it turns unexpectedly serious when Alaska leaves the school suddenly, drives while drunk and upset, and dies after crashing head-on into a police car. The after portion tries to uncover the mysteries of why Alaska died, where she was going, and what her motivation may have been for a possible suicide. In their schooling, the students attend a religion class. The fall final exam for the class is to decide what is the most important question human beings must answer. Pudge suggested that the question was, what happens to us when we die? The Colonel offered, why do good people get rotten lots in life? And Alaska asked, how do we escape this labyrinth of suffering? It was ironic that these questions should be presented because shortly after discussing some of the big questions in life, Alaska dies. The book transitions from before to after. Right at the end of the before section, it says, we left. We did not say, don't drive, you're drunk. We did not say, we aren't letting you in a car when you are upset. We did not say, we insist on going with you. We did not say, this can wait until tomorrow. Anything, everything can wait. Shortly after failing to stop Alaska from leaving the campus while drunk, the school population finds themselves in various stages of shock and guilt at her death, especially Pudge and the Colonel. I walked back into the gym, and everyone seemed to be in various stages of disintegration. It was like something you see on TV, like a National Geographic special on funeral rituals. I saw Takumi standing over Lara, his hands on her shoulders. I saw Kevin with his crew cut, his head buried between his knees. A girl named Molly Tan, who'd studied with us for pre-calc, wailed, beating balled fists against her thighs. All these people I sort of knew and sort of didn't, and all of them disintegrating. And then I saw the Colonel. His knees tucked into his chest, lying on his side on the bleachers, Madame O'Malley sitting next to him, reaching towards his shoulder but not actually touching it. The Colonel was screaming. He would inhale and then scream. Inhale, scream, inhale, scream. I thought at first that it was only yelling. But after a few breaths I noticed a rhythm, and after a few more I realized that the Colonel was saying words. He was screaming, "I'm so sorry." Madame O'Malley grabbed his hand. "You've got nothing to be sorry for, Chip. There was nothing you could have done." But if only she knew. After that, the remainder of the book finds Pudge and the Colonel focusing on death, why people die, what it feels like, what it means. At the end of the book, Pudge says, "I believe now that we are greater than the sum of our parts." If you take Alaska's genetic code and you add her life experiences and the relationship she had with people, and then you take the size and shape of her body, you do not get her. There is something else entirely. There is a part of her greater than the sum of her knowable parts. Overall, the book is a thoughtful discussion of life, death, and the decisions that we all make. The final John Green novel I'm going to talk about is The Fault in Our Stars. It was published by Dutton Books and was named Time Magazine's #1 fiction book of 2012. Despite not having won any official awards, it's Green's most well-recognized work. The New York Times Review calls it a blend of melancholy, sweet, philosophical, and funny, while fellow author Jodi Picoult describes it as being filled with staccato bursts of humor and tragedy. The title comes from a line in Shakespeare's play Julius Caesar. In Act 1, Scene 2, the nobleman Cassius says, "The fault, dear Brutus, is not in our stars, but in ourselves, that we are underlings." The themes of the book are similar to those in Looking for Alaska and include first love, the death of a loved one, living with disabilities, cancer, grief, and moving on. Parts of this book are actually based on Green's experiences while working as a student chaplain in a children's hospital. The basic plot is that the protagonist, Hazel Grace Lancaster, meets Augustus Waters in a cancer support group. Hazel has terminal thyroid cancer and must constantly carry an oxygen tank because of cancer-weakened lungs, while Augustus has osteosarcoma, but is in remission. He has lost a leg to the disease and it has been replaced with a prosthetic. The two become friends and then fall in love. At times, it's easy to forget that the two have cancer because the story focuses so primarily on their friendship and growing love for each other. Like most young adults, their first meetings are awkward and sweet. "May I see you again?" he asked. There was an enduring nervousness in his voice. I smiled. "Sure." "Tomorrow?" he asked. "Patience, grasshopper," I counseled. "You don't want to seem overeager." "Right, that's why I said tomorrow," he said. "I want to see you again tonight, but I'm willing to wait all night and much of tomorrow." I rolled my eyes. "I'm serious," he said. Yet in the midst of the fun, the story is sprinkled with mentions to the often difficult conditions of living with disease and the pain and suffering that come along with having a terminal disease. After witnessing a mutual friend's rage upon realizing that both eyes will be lost to cancer, Augustus says, "That's the thing about pain. It demands to be felt." Later, Hazel worries that her disease and eventual death only hurt those around her, especially her parents. She says, I'm like a grenade, Mom. I'm a grenade, and at some point I'm going to blow up, and I would like to minimize the casualties, okay?" The novel also features some blunt discussions of how isolating living with disease can be. That was the worst part about having cancer sometimes. The physical evidence of disease separates you from other people. We were irreconcilably other, and never was it more obvious than when the three of us walked through the empty plane, the stewardess nodding sympathetically. And in the end, when Augustus's cancer makes a reappearance, Green gives readers a chance to think about and discuss the death of a loved one. Hazel spends some final, painful moments with Augustus. He hit the steering wheel weakly, the car honking as he cried. He leaned his head back, looking up. "I hate myself, I hate myself, I hate this, I disgust myself, I hate it, just fucking let me die." According to the conventions of the genre, Augustus Waters kept his sense of humor till the end, did not for a moment waver in his courage, and his spirit soared like an eagle until the world itself could not contain his joyous soul. But this was the truth. A pitiful boy who desperately wanted not to be pitiful, screaming and crying, poisoned by an infected G-tube that kept him alive, but not alive enough. It's clear that John Green has written about some pretty deep and intense topics in his books, but what else will draw young adults to John Green? What else makes him awesome? The two biggest things that make him awesome outside of his novels are his Tumblr, named FishingBoatProceeds, and his YouTube channel called Vlogbrothers. FishingBoatProceeds is John Green's official Tumblr, and it actually is run by John Green himself. He doesn't post much, but he posts something at least every other day relating to either his books or to literature in general. He also allows fans to ask questions via an Ask box, which he answers. Vlogbrothers is a video blog series that John started with his brother Hank. It was initially started off as a project called Brotherhood 2.0, which was launched in 2007. The idea was that Hank and John had agreed to only communicate for that year through videos. Their conversations drew a popular following, and after the year of communication finished, their works were turned into the Vlogbrothers YouTube channel. Their followers have come to be known as Nerd Fighters. In this picture, Hank, on the left, is flashing the Nerd Fighter symbol, which is 2 Vulcan salutes. The slogan of Vlogbrothers has become DFTBA, Don't Forget to Be Awesome, and it has become incorporated into a series of American Library Association reading posters. Perhaps one of the best parts of Vlogbrothers is that the audience really gets to see who John is as a person and what his personality is like. And even better than that is the fact that John Green is proud of being a nerd. This clip comes from his video entitled Harry Potter Nerds Win at Life.
Part 2, my old friend Harry Potter. Heck, I didn't see the Harry Potter movie on midnight of opening day like you did, but I went to see it last night with the Yeti, and we were sitting there like 30 minutes before it started, and the theater was filling up, and I was like, I'm so excited about the Harry Potter movie. I get to see Luna Lovegood, and I'm gonna cry at the end. And then I really liked the movie because it was funny, but it was also sad, and it didn't tell destructive lies about teenage sexuality like some other movies I've seen recently. And Ron Weasley has gotten so buff. I mean, hey, the movie was great, but the 30 minutes before the movie started was what I love about being a nerd. Because nerds like us are allowed to be unironically enthusiastic about stuff. We don't have to be like, oh yeah, that purse is okay. Or like, yeah, I like that band's early stuff. Nerds are allowed to love stuff, like jump up and down in the chair, can't control yourself, love it. Hank, when people call people nerds, mostly what they're saying is, you like stuff, which is just not a good insult at all. Like, you are too enthusiastic about the miracle of human consciousness.
There's also the added benefit that John Green is just funny. This clip is from his video Question Friday, where he attempts to answer the question about whether or not he is an octopus.
Are you an octopus? 1, 2, 3, 4. No, wait. I could be an octopus who had 4 legs chopped off. Okay, if I were an octopus with 4 legs chopped off, how would we be able to tell? If I jumped against the wall, I would stick. I am not an octopus.
If this presentation has convinced you that John Green is a great author whose works you should definitely have in your library, then you probably need some more sources of information. Here you'll find his official author website, the homepage for Nerd Fighters, the Brotherhood 2.0 webpage, and the Vlogbrothers channel homepage. If you're looking for a recommendation on where to start reading his works, I'd recommend looking for Alaska. Thanks for taking the time to watch this, and don't forget to be awesome.